What is up, my beautiful people? You know what? Welcome to my channel where I like to go over a bunch of crazy stuff like what's happening in the world today, but really about low carb diets and how they affect the human body because a lot of people are getting jacked up by just everyone out there making these diets seem so easy. Now, I was looking at my comment section on my channel, and this woman was like, "Go check out this woman." Another woman talking about similar things that I talk about. Although these women were talking about the importance of carbohydrates because they don't know enough, because they just haven't worked enough with people who've been doing ketogenic and carnivore diets the right way, which should be high fat. But I digress. Let's get into the fasting and the carnivore aspects and these ice baths. Now, the body is a very sensitive system, but we're like cockroaches. We can endure so much stress and chemicals and bad sleep and crappy jobs and relationships and still function. But what's happening with modern humans today is that they're relying on supplements and pharmacological intervention drugs to survive. That's not the way our grandparents or great grandparents survived. Definitely not hunter gatherers. And a lot of people are so used to being stuck on thyroid medication, they're afraid to go off. They're like, I can't. Or they'll get on an SSRI, which is an antidepressant medication, and they're really paranoid to go off. Or they'll have menstrual issues where they're bleeding all the time. And then they are super afraid to go off of these hormonal or people, women on HRTs and men now on testosterone. Our hunter gatherers and people from our ancestry were not relying on progesterone cream and testosterone pellets and all this stuff. So, what's the deal? A lot of people will turn towards carnivore because they have a histamine response, but then it mutated into this weight loss thing. And I'm like, how are you going to do that? You're broken. You have to fix the broken body first before the body will allow itself to drop the body fat and build the muscle, because it's not just about dropping fat or weight. You could drop water in a few days and think that you're dropping fat. You're not. You're dropping water. So when people are like, I did carnivore or keto or HCG, whatever, and I lost 60 pounds, a lot of that was their immune system. They fracked it up. Their electrolytes were out of balance. They went through gluconeogenesis. Now, a lot of us go down the cortisol pathway, which I keep talking about. That's the stress pathway. And stress, basically, and I've mentioned this in 5,000 videos, can make your body break down amino acids, and that can be in anywhere in your body. I always say it can be in your eyeballs, it can be in your bone marrow, in your muscles, your collagen under your skin, the skin itself, your intestines, your digestive tract. Why these long distance runners are like, a lot of them develop IBS and they have diarrhea because not only are they eating the wrong foods and slapping down gel caplets while running, they also are just literally putting pressure on their digestive system by running and running and running, going through gluconeogenesis, which is eating up their digestive tract. So there's that too. But how about the everyday life, right? What about people stressing in our everyday lives from doing carnivore the wrong way with the wrong intention, or doing keto the wrong way with the wrong intention, or trying to do ice baths, which are so stupid. I'm sorry, we're not hunter gatherers. We're not. People are like, oh my God, it shocks this primal thing, and you're in the fight or flight zone, and it, makes your cells go into hyperdrive, and you're superhuman. And nobody's considering the junked up body you came with before. But let's get into it. So I'm going to pull up this video of this woman, very much in alignment with stuff I talk about, although these women are all about the carbs and I'm not, because they don't break things down. Everyone is different, right? Everyone is different. I should get off of this. What's coming up after 1 second. Let's get this in full bleed. But no one is really trying to break down this concept of the individual. If you're breastfed, if you're vaginally birthed, have you had antibiotics anytime in your life? Were you on Accutane? Were you a person who was growing up on Fruity Pebbles and bread? Like, did your parents raise you vegan? Like, all of these things matter. Are you a coffee drinker? Did you drink alcohol? On how your body will function, because everything is connected. We all know that the elbow is connected to the nose bones, connect to the booty bone. There's no bone, but it's all connected. So let's not forget. And then, like, these women just don't know enough about keto. So they're like, oh my God, you need carbohydrates. But I've been working with people over the years knowing that you don't, because your body will go into gluconeogenesis in enough, not too much, not too little, and enough to feed your red blood cells. Let's get into it right about now. See what they've got to say about stress on the female body.
Broke it, you ran on it too. And that is kind of what the phenomenon that's happening is. What I see is women tend to have a less stress resilience because of our high estrogen levels, whereas men have more testosterone, which makes them a little bit more resilient to stress. And
okay, she's not breaking down what she means by resilience to stress. So let me break that down. When she's like, "Oh, women have more estrogen, so they have a less of a resilience." Really, less of a resilience to stress. If I get a phone call in the middle of this, I'm going to be so mad. Okay, I'm so unprofessional. All right. So basically, your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, thyroid axis, it becomes overstimulated due to the stress, the cortisol pathway that I talk about, cortisol, and this increases inflammation. So this impaired function and reduced brain function, because it also reduces, like, your brain goes like blah when you're stressed out. So what happens with the reduced immune function and reduced brain activity focus, this is where estrogen can exacerbate the effects of increasing the freaking cortisol and the HPA axis of your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, thyroid axis, which is why women cannot deal with chronic stress. Where men, they are more vasopressin and testosterone driven. So it's more protective over the body's stress. It's more resilient, and it can reduce testosterone, which is why women need to keep your testosterone up. It can reduce the activity of the HPA axis overload. And so testosterone has less of a negative effect on when you're under a lot of stress. And this is why women get fat and thyroidy and all kind of stuff a lot easier than men. Let's continue. Oh my goodness. Really, Steph? Really? I had it cute and everything. Where was I? Now I don't want to start guessing where I was. I accidentally tapped and messed it up. So that's what they were talking about, how women really should not be. These women were talking about how, like, the ice baths and the fasting and all this crap doesn't work it's much more difficult for women. Men too, because your stress toxic bucket gets overloaded as you get older. And that's why younger men can say, I'm fasting, it's amazing. This shit don't work on women. Okay? It don't work on women unless you're really young and your parents raised you perfectly and you never had any concoction in your body. Do the math. Let's go to going to take this off and find the timestamp where they're talking about the thyroid. And you guys know I did a video the other day about if your liver is not functioning properly, nor will your thyroid. And believe it or not, dehydration on these diets. This is why these women are like, you can't do keto or carnivore for the long term, because they don't understand the hiccups that go wrong when you don't balance your electrolytes and make sure that you're balancing your blood sugar while being in ketosis. Whole nother education here. All right, so let me find these women and let's find the timestamp, which I wrote down here, and let's hit it. Let's see. Shenio. Vi behöver 20. And here we are. No, 21. I know I used to live in Sweden, so sometimes I like to just ramble. Let's talk about the liver and thyroid with these ladies. Let's see what we got here, people.
Incredibly important, maybe for you, or maybe someone you know, or maybe your clients who you work with. It's just such important information.
Oh my
We
goodness.
couldn't.
Every time I move my finger, I mess the timestamp up. I am so dumb. I am so low budget. But I got good info. Stay with me, people. Here we go.
Than a diet that's based around resilience and nourishment and really being able to thrive. And so when it comes to carbohydrates, everybody has a need for carbohydrate. And if you're not consuming them, you're going to be manufacturing glucose. And the manufacture of glucose, unfortunately.
So she was saying that she doesn't know enough about ketones. So not everybody needs carbohydrates, because now I've done this for a million years, and now I have a lot of women that I've worked with for like 6-8 years are doing well on a ketogenic diet. Not everybody, because you have to keep your stress down. So that statement they just said, okay, let's X-nay that and let's get to the other part of stress.
Unfortunately, requires your body's stress systems, primarily the adrenal glands. They will secrete primarily cortisol, which is your main catabolic hormone. Which catabolic, all it means is your body cannibalizes or breaks down its own tissue. And then maybe transforms it. And to make glucose, our body has to catabolize usually our muscle tissue, but if it doesn't want to break down muscle tissue, it will break down skin tissue, liver tissue, intestinal tissue, brain tissue. Any tissue is free game. And the body will take those proteins, send them to the liver, and then the liver will go through a process called gluconeogenesis, which is the process of taking protein and turning it into glucose. And then the liver will secrete the glucose into the bloodstream, and there you go. The cells that need glucose will take up glucose. So that's a very stressful and inflammatory process for the body to go through constantly. It also puts the liver under stress, because now the liver has to focus on making fuel for you on top of its other 500 jobs. So
don't do that.
Right. And so all these people that are having really hard time detoxification, it's oftentimes because their liver is preoccupied with other things like survival. And so detoxification goes on the back burner. And another big thing that goes on the back burner is our thyroid hormone, because our thyroid manufactures a thyroid hormone called T4 at the direction of our pituitary gland, which secretes something called TSH, or thyroid stimulating hormone, which most people, that's what they get tested at the doctor. But once the thyroid responds,
and TSH testing is so sketchy, people. So just because you've gone to your general practitioner and you're like, I tested, my thyroid's fine. Probably it's not if you're having issues losing weight.
To the thyroid stimulating hormone, it will create T4, which is actually a pretty inactive form of thyroid hormone. Yeah. And then that T4 will go to the liver, and the liver will primarily be the organ that converts the T4 to the active form of thyroid hormone, T3.
So this is what I was talking about the last time, my last video about, not 2 videos ago, about if your liver is not functioning properly, then you have the inability to do the T4 to T3 conversion, and to get that T3 thyroid hormone into the highway, or the blood, to then go to the taxi cab, which is the protein binding globulin, make it to the cell, and then the cell actually opens the door and lets it in. Because a lot of doors, your body will make the hormone, it'll be swimming in the blood, but it won't go into the cells. So with that said, my people, this is the reason why I stress so much that you should not be fasting. Like these women were explaining. What's her name? Ashley. I gotta remember. I'll put it in the show notes below. I just looked at the comment, and then I looked at this video, and then I'm posting it. But women are not like men. And men, I'm sorry, once you hit a certain age and your toxic bucket is overloaded, you might as well be a woman. Sorry. Despite what they're saying today. If your toxic bucket is high, you're going to be estrogen dominant. and you're going to start having the thyroid issues, the gallbladder issues, the flat muscles, the gynecomastia, the low testosterone, just like women. Yes. So that is the reason why that we have to protect our adrenal function, our nervous system, and our biliary duct system, so our organs are functioning properly because they're converting hormones. Pancreas and gallbladder, I mean, and liver, not gallbladder, but liver. And it's so important that we're not constantly in a state of fight or flight, because if you're jumping into an ice bath, this is overshocking your vagus nerve, right? So the nerve from your head down to the gut and back up, it's an overshock, right? And so it doesn't function properly under stress, which people's gut motility becomes not functioning properly when they're constantly doing ice baths. And then they'll go inside and like get a bad bill, or something bad will happen, and then their cortisol pathways just keep going. We don't want our cortisol pathways to keep going, my people. We want to have times where we have the right amount of cortisol, which is lower at certain points of the day, and our sleep, because a lot of you guys can't sleep because you're running down the cortisol pathway. So yeah, you're a young guy and your parents raised you right, but then you start to join the herd and start doing stupid things, and then you start fasting and ice bathing, and then you start to notice that your body won't respond over time, or it responds fine because you've got a clean body, and you were never concocted with swords stuck in your body and all of this stuff, and then your whole life, because some people are really smart to do that with their kids, when they're older than. But my generation, we only had 3 of those concoctions placed within the temple. Got to use a lot of code words on this batch. Okay. But the reality is that from the point of being born, we have a toxic bucket, and I really want to do the deep dive in this. And so when you start doing like fasting and HIIT training and CrossFit, and you're doing carnivore or you're doing keto, that's why these women are saying like these diets are unsuccessful, for that reason, right? Because people keep going down cortisol pathways, and they're not taking a look at where their body is stress wise. Are they in a homeostatic balance? Or are they like this, right? And I'm not talking about Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta disco dancing, my people. Okay, I'm just saying. So they have bits and pieces that are really great. Like I said, some people, holistic, functional, whatever's, they have such great information. But then when we got on the whole keto stuff, they don't know enough. That's why she didn't go into the deep dive and explain, because like, what's the ketogenic diet? What's a carnivore diet? What's the wrong way to do it? What's the right way to do it? Who knows? Nobody knows, because there's so much weird information out there. So you have to get into ketosis. You have to monitor it. You have to manage your blood sugar and ketones. You have to keep your stress down. Almost nobody does that. My phone is going berserkos. All right, guys, this was meant to be a short video. So thank you for joining my channel. I'll post the link below on this video so you can check out this talk, except for the whole keto carnivore thing, because she lumps keto, carnivore, and intermittent fasting all in the same way, which I totally get because I've done it as well. But they're speaking in the context of, nope, you need carbs. Well, this girl haven't done carbs in years, and we still got the business going on. Okay. Girl still got the business going on. No carbs for almost 16 years. And now other women and men are keeping up to me with the high numbers, 6, 8, 10 years. And the constant battle of not losing minerals through cortisol, because cortisol can make you lose minerals. It can dehydrate you. If you're dehydrated, your hormones aren't going to work. And then the thyroid's not going to work. You're going to lose no weight, my people. I don't care how much fasting you do, how many freaking calories you don't do. People don't understand that when your body goes down the cortisol pathway, you just lose stuff. And when you lose important material for this body, it ain't going to function properly. It's not going to do what you want it to do. That's why I say always know your existing health. Thank you, everyone, for joining and taking a look at my stuff on my page, on my channel. Get ready for the challenge. Of course, a lot of this stuff that I'm showing you today is material that will be simplified and uncomplicated, sort of the cliff notes of all my research in the 30-day challenge. But I also have a course that's ongoing. It's a monthly subscription. That's only $15 a month. The challenge is just a 1 month, 30 days, $1 a day. The signups for that will be coming up soon because I'm feverishly working on it with my web person. Or you can sign up for a consultation. I'm about to open up dates. When I get back from riding my horse, I'll have all new dates coming up if you need to talk to me directly, because I have a lot of experience working with over 8,000 people over the years, and not this dogmatic person who's been taught at some school in some structured way. I'm going by you guys and what I've learned from people, because low carb diets are not something you can get an education for. You got to figure it out on their own. And those two women do too, because there's no class and no course to teach you about keto, carnivore, and low carb, high fat diets. So we're all in our position of learning. And I'm just lucky that I started so many years ago when these two women were much younger than me. They're still younger, I assume, especially the blonde one. So when I started learning about keto, she was just a young little girl back then. But respect women. Very good talk. They had some really great talks, and especially the Ashley girl. Ash something. I gotta go. I can't remember her name, but she had some really good points. And I'm out. Peace. Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. My Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. I'm 55, going on 56. Almost 16 years of not eating any carbs, and life just keeps getting better. If you don't believe me, go check out my video where you can see me when I was 37 and now when I'm going on 56. And wow. Peace.